Hi guys, Alex here. I wanted to do this quick video going over a few things in regards to the Master Fast tinctures. And some people asked, why do we need tinctures for the Master Fast? So we need tinctures because the tinctures support the detoxification process. When you are, especially with the Master Fast, where you're only drinking grape juice while you're dry fasting, then you have dry fasting for 18 hours. Let me just quickly outline it here. So daily max 18-hour dry fast, okay? You don't really want to push it over. And I know that eventually you do get eager, and because you feel so great while you're dry fasting, it's quite easy to go into 18, 20-hour dry fast. And some days it's fine. You know, you want to test your limits, that's totally fine. But don't push it, especially when you're a beginner, and keep on drinking at least 2 liters of grape juice, because the liquids help to flush out toxins. Because the dry fasting is an acidic experience, it pulls everything up from the body, and so it gets dumped into the lymphatic system, and you want to keep things moving, you want to get things flushed out. That's why we also do enemas. We don't want to move toxins around and then let them re-stagnate in the body. The whole idea is to get things out. So keep on drinking your 2 liters of grape juice at least. You can drink up to 3 liters. I personally found that usually I had between 1.5 and 2, like I would push for 2. And yeah, so also, I mean, I figure like I'm quite small, so I could get away with 1.5. But if if you're taller, bigger, go for 2 and be on the safe side, you know. Don't push yourself too hard, especially at the beginning. You know, most of you are at the beginning of this journey, because otherwise you're not going to go the distance, and you're actually going to do more damage to your body than not. It's a very safe system if you do everything by the book, by the rules. So don't worry about damaging your body, even though I can tell you that the first few days of the fast, you will have, you know, the mind chatter going, or the voice going, why are you doing this? This is crazy. This is extreme. This might damage you. And it's all part of the process. And just listen to the voice and know that the system is absolutely safe, and you can, you know, go through it. Obviously, the emotional roller coaster will be there. The tinctures are important because they support the organs in the detoxification process, and they pull more toxins out of the body. The tinctures are not really recommended to use whilst you're eating, so they work perfectly well and perfectly fine and potently while you are doing this fast. They can also work really well while you're doing the fruit fast, but once you start eating, you know, greens, even though it's raw, I don't really recommend, and neither does Gino recommend, taking the tinctures, simply because it's a pity, you know. Like, use them when you're fasting, use them when you're fruit fasting as your tools to really get the detoxification process optimized. Other than that, it's kind of a waste of money. And yeah, so they're important for the support system. And especially, you know, for things like the endocrine system, for the adrenal glands, which do need a lot of support. All of our endocrine systems are messed up to one degree or another, you know. And when I say that, you must remember our bodies are incredible tools, incredible machines, and they can withstand a lot of stress. But that doesn't mean, you know, because it's so easy to say, oh, but everybody else seems fine. And I repeat it all the time. It's so easy to go, oh yeah, well, you know, they're fine eating junk, and, you know, but it doesn't mean that they run at optimum, you know. And oftentimes it takes us years to realize that, oh, gee, like, we've never run. I mean, like, for me now, I'm 43, and I'm, yeah, 43, almost 44. And I'm realizing now that's probably since I was 12 years old, I haven't felt this good in my body, you know, this light, this well, this alert and present and all of that. And so, but before I didn't realize it, because we tend to numb ourselves with so many things, and we tend to also just accept that, you sort of, you deal with it. And I'm constantly surprised at how many people sort of realize kind of much later, like, oh, for the last 15 years I haven't been feeling good. So we want to get the toxins out, we want to get the lymph flowing, we want to get things moving, and the organs need support, especially when they've been stagnating for a long time. Get the support, get the kidneys working, get the bowels working, get the parasite formulation, because we all have parasites. And and then people go like, oh, but I haven't traveled, or I haven't been eating meat, or whatever the excuse is. It doesn't matter. Parasites come from within, and they're actually there to help. It's just when they take over, that is when they create an issue. Same thing with candida. So get the support in forms of tinctures. Don't shy away from them. I personally usually take kind of between 12 and 14 different ones. And I've noticed that when I'm well supported, because initially I think I had maybe like 6. And then I started, getting more and more, because I felt the support of them. And the more that I take, the more support I do feel. The other interesting thing that happens once you start getting deeper into the fast, the tinctures actually, I found, but I mean, I've always been quite sensitive to plants and, sort of in tune with plants, if you will. So when I take the tinctures, especially once you get deeper into the fast, and so you're empty and your system is much more open and much more sensitive, I found when I take them, I need to often sit down for 10 minutes. And yes, it's the alcohol that is part of it. And some people go like, oh, but what about the alcohol? You can put hot water over it, or you can even, give them a quick boil so that the alcohol burns off, or you can put them in kidney tea, in your kidney tea if you prefer. I usually just put a little bit of hot water and then just, drink it down. For some people, the taste is really, really, really horrible. And I do remember, the first maybe 2 weeks, I also felt like, gee, these are really strong. And, it's almost like a Jägermeister kind of thing times 5, 6, 8, 10. So it is a strong taste. And some people find it really, really, really hard to get down. But just know this, that the harder it is for you to get down, the more toxic you are. And at the same time, once your body starts opening up, and once it starts the process of detoxification, I found eventually, like, I actually really, really enjoyed well, not really, really, but I did enjoy the tinctures, and I've really felt them as deep medicine for my body. The other interesting thing that happened, and that I'm actually really looking forward to, is that whenever I took the tinctures, I would have to sit down, and I felt sort of a lot of movement, almost a lot of information going through my body, and I had to kind of, again, reassess in my body. And then 10 minutes into it, I would have almost a download of information, and I would know, and then I would start writing. And often really deep insights, really deep messages that just sort of, they came to in my reality, the plants were talking to me through me. And so I would write down a lot of things. And it was almost, if any of you have done medicine journeys, it almost felt like a little medicine journey. And it lasted about, 45 minutes to an hour. And then it would pass. Now, the other thing that some of you will ask is, but can I work? I have a full-time job or whatever. You can absolutely work. There's people, I've seen people on the Master Fast, even night nurses and, people with all kinds of jobs. So my husband also, he was working full-time. So you can absolutely, and even for me, yes, I work from home, but we unschool kids and I have to be present. I can't just sort of, zone out. And it's absolutely fine to work full time. In fact, it will help you because it will keep you distracted. And it's also, and then with the tinctures, you don't have to sit down and write. You can also just sort of bypass the flood of information, and not everybody may get that. In fact, not everybody gets that. So, whatever comes, I'm just saying be open to the possibility, and it may serve you in that way, it may not. Either way, the tinctures are doing their work. The other really important thing to keep in mind when on the Master Fast is that things can change really fast. So even though you may feel, and I did kind of mention it the other time, but I want to reiterate, because it can be scary sometimes how emotions arise, or feeling of weakness, or feeling even dizzy. And don't be scared. It's sort of ground yourself in your body, because it's energy moving, and it's always communicating with you. Your body is constantly communicating with you on the system, and that is the idea. The idea is to feel, okay, what is this? What is that? And there again, some people say, oh, but I can't, work or be present. Well, first of all, you're much stronger than you think. And if you put your mind to this, that this is what you want to experience, and you open yourself up to this experience, you'll be fine. And to use this experience as a meditation, also as multitasking. I always say I can be sitting on a beach like I did on, Easter Sunday, last Easter. And at the same time, even though, yes, on the surface I was interacting with my, mother-in-law and sort of having like a nice family time, I was processing some really deep internal things and observing in my body, but on the outside I was doing something completely different. And it's something that we all need to learn, especially when we want to evolve and grow and push ourselves further. And yes, initially it's hard. I mean, I always compare it to when you first have kids. I remember being completely overwhelmed by the fact that all of a sudden I needed to carry all these things, and I needed to do all these things at once, and getting out of the house is like a huge mission. And I felt like I need to grow another set of arms, or ideally 2 more sets of arms. And often felt this frustration of like, oh my God, how do other people do it? And then eventually you get the hang of it, Eventually it's like, oh, okay, I kind of am growing another pair of arms. You can't see them, And so it's the same thing here. When you learn to multitask, to multitask dimensions and emotions, you simply start doing it. Initially, it's a little bit like a medicine journey, and eventually you get the hang of it, and you just do it. I'm trying to think what's the other thing that I wanted to point out. Well, I guess for now that is it. But yes, it was the emotions. Don't get caught up in the emotions. Well, notice them. Obviously, always feel, because the issue is in the tissue. And if you can feel it, you can heal it. That is really the bottom line. Also for myself, as I was sharing in another video, I'm currently, working on some deep things. I'm always working on something, but I'm working on like something that feels really, really big and very sort of ancient. And I have to force myself to go into the anger that I have about it. I have to force myself to go into a pain about it. Okay, so here's a good point. Because so often, like this is what I'm noticing in my process, so often it's so easy to just be okay, to be okay with a situation. And to not notice the emotions, or to transmute the maybe negative emotions into something positive. And obviously that has its place, and that is a gift. But at the same time, we have to be aware of the fact that we can also use that method to bypass our deepest processings or our deepest hurts and wounds and traumas. And ultimately, you know, obviously, again, we always have choice, and there is no good or bad. There is no better or worse, higher or lower. It's what do you want? And the reality is that if we want more expansion, if we want to experience bigger life, more pleasure, more joy, more happiness, more connection with source, you will never be able to do that unless you dig up the equivalent negative. I don't know if that makes sense. You know, it's like when we keep our range of motion small and we only allow ourselves to feel this much happiness, you know, like how often do you see people that really just, wow, you know, they feel all their happiness and they express it, and not so often, you know, people go, yes, happy, but then there's more, you know, there's always more. And at the same time, there's also, you know, same thing with pain. Like a lot of people go like, oh, you know, this is so painful, so painful. But how many people do really go into the pain? Not many. And it's really a skill that needs practice, like anything. And so here I want to share a story with you. I once went to a workshop, and it was a fascinating workshop about, whatever, it doesn't even matter, a workshop. And we always began this workshop with, or it was a course, and the course was always started with people, you know, we could bring whatever our present moment, our present emotion or happening movement in our life, we would bring it to the circle, whoever felt moved to do so. And there was this beautiful, beautiful African Sangoma woman sitting next to me, psychologist, but also an African witch doctor. It's got nothing to do with witches. It's just, you know, that's what they're called, African Sangomas. And I remember she got up and she started wailing. Well, first she kind of introduced, you know, and said, look, you know, I'm going through this thing with my father, and, you know, all this pain is coming up, etc., and family, because, you know, they're really, really close, and kind of a lot of components to the family, big family. And so anyway, so she expressed there was pain there, and she proceeded to light the candle that we had there, and then started her process of wailing in her language. And it, you know, and really just wailing. And initially I couldn't understand. I was sort of a little bit startled. I was like, okay, like you expressed that there was pain and suffering, but this seems so big and so, you know, like somebody had died, you know, in a very, that's my dog, in a very tragic way. And so I remember in my kind of westernized mind, where we keep suffering, you know, in a sense also fairly neat. And she was wailing, and she went on and praying to the heavens and to the grounds, and, you know, going on and on like that. And I remember initially going, okay, this is beautiful. And then after a while I was like, well, gee, is this ever going to end? Like, you know, my judgment came up of, you're taking away from other people, and, you know, we've got a course to do, and and all this judgment, mind chatter, monkey mind. And then eventually she did stop, but probably after a good 5 minutes. And then when she stopped, it was like, boom, it was done. The wailing was done. And then she started chanting this beautiful African song. I only remember sort of like the melody, na 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 na, which was, it's a celebration, it's a celebration. And she started inviting all of us to follow her like a train, and to clap hands and to just sing this song. It's a celebration, it's a celebration. And at first, again, like I was also, I was like, okay, wait, hang on, what's happening? You know, my mind couldn't comprehend, and I had to quickly switch. It was like, okay, first you were wailing, and then boom, done, and now we're celebrating. Like, whoa, 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 give me a moment. But then I got it in the middle of the celebration. It was like, wow, what an amazing, amazing process. What an amazing witnessing. What an amazing lesson. What a gift I had been given by this woman. And I told her many times, because the gift was what? The gift was really deeply go and feel your emotion. When it's there, pick it up, you know, pick it. And sometimes we really need to cough it up and find it. Where is it sitting in us? Where is it? Find it, pick it up, feel it fully. And if you can, or to the best of your momentary ability, go radically in it. And then you know when it's done, you know. So rage, I mean, that's why it's so important to get the feeling out, because otherwise that stuff is stuck inside of us. So take that feeling, feel it all until the end, do whatever it takes and whatever is possible in the moment to get that feeling out, expressed, because it is energy in motion. Emotion is energy in motion. So allow it to do what it needs to do. And then transmute it by going, okay, that is done. And now I'm going to take that and I'm going to transmute it into joy, because that is our power, right? Then we call in joy and we alchemize that feeling that is, when I say negative, it's not bad, it's not good, it's simply, it's the polar opposite of this joy that she then expressed. Of it's a celebration, because ultimately all of life is a celebration. Even feeling our sadness, even feeling our grieving, it's like, wow, that is what makes us human. That is what makes us feel alive, to have this range of motion that flows, that asks to flow through us. So allow, welcome, use it. You know, and know that whatever wants to flow through you is always, always, always there to serve you. It's always happening for you. So by feeling it and feeling into the mystery of what is this telling me? What is this teaching me? That is how we alchemize something that is negative into positive. That is how we turn lead to gold. That is alchemy. And we all are, I keep feeling it here, and we all are alchemists. We are all magicians. And so that is what you constantly learn how to do, or that is what you're forced to do, to learn to do in the Master Fast. You learn to be a master alchemist of your life by taking whatever is happening and then choosing, okay, wondering, okay, what is this? What do I want to do with this? Okay, let me feel it. And then how can I transmute it? So that is it. That's my meditation for now, for today. That just sort of arose and came out. If you have questions, as always, please ask, because your questions help me direct, you know, my offering to you. And yeah, I leave you with that. And I wish you a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And I'm sending you all my love. Bye.